Welcome to today's class of Principles of Inheritance and Variation. In the introductory class, we had come to know the preliminary idea of what is genetics, heredity and variation. Then we had come to know about the contribution of Mendel towards the field of genetics. And we have come to know that monohybrid cross was performed by Mendel, in which he proposed or he postulated his law of dominance and law of segregation. That was because of the monohybrid cross which he had done, taking the 7 pairs of contrasting characters in case of the pea plant. Today we are going to read about the other aspects of the monohybrid cross which Mendel has performed to confirm the results of his experiment. Now, in the monohybrid cross which Mendel has done, if we consider a pair of contrasting characters, say the character or the gene which is associated with the height of the plant to be as your capital T, the dominant character, we know that gene is expressed in two alternative forms. So in case of homozygous condition, it will be capital T for a pure parent and small t for a recessive character, that is a dwarf character, and that is also a pure parent. So when the cross was done in case of monohybrid cross, in the parental generation were crossed, that means the cross pollination was done, and as a result of it, the F1 or the first filial generation showed a single character out of the two parental character, and the character which appeared as in the F1 generation, that was considered to be the dominant character, and the character which could not express itself in the F1 generation but made its expression in the F2 generation was considered to be the recessive character. Okay, so this was fine. But after the F1 generations were again crossed, then the result which was obtained was that phenotypically the organisms had 75% as tall plants and 25% as your dwarf plants, isn't it? Now, to know whether these plants which were obtained as a result of crossing between the F1 individuals were having the two alleles of same type or of different type, Mendel did one experiment, and this experiment which he did is known as your test cross. Now, what is this test cross? Today we are going to see that thing, and also one thing which is not mentioned but I will be telling you, that is what is called as your back cross. Okay, so let us first take the case of a monohybrid cross in which we will be crossing between a tall plant and that of a dwarf plant, a pure tall and a pure dwarf. So pure tall, let us consider it to be capital T, and it is crossed with a pure dwarf. Okay, so when gamete will be formed, we know that according to the law of segregation, the gametes, they segregate, that is they become half the number. So segregation of the gamete will take place, so half the number will take place. So this will form this type of gamete, that is only one type of gamete because it is homozygous, and this will form a small t type of gamete. Okay, and if it is a heterozygous parent, in that case gametes will be of two types, but in this case see, gametes will be only of one type. So there was a scientist, his name was called Reginald C. Punnett, and he actually gave a method of predicting the zygotes, the possible combination in the zygotes in the form of a board, a checkered board, and that is what is called a Punnett square. So let us do it with a Punnett square. So what do you do it in a Punnett square is that you represent the gamete in horizontal as well as the vertical column, and the female parent is represented by this symbol and the male parent is represented by this symbol. Okay, so let us do it like this. So gametes for this parent, it will be T, and gametes for this parent, it will be small t and small t. So in the F1 generation, what will be the possible combinations is that capital T, small t, capital T, small t, capital T, small t, capital T, small t. So see, all the organisms in the F1 generation will be tall. That means phenotypically they will be tall. There is no expression of the dwarf. Okay. Now, when this that is individual which is formed as a result of crossing between two pure parents obtained in the F1 generation, capital T and small t, when they are self-pollinated, when they are crossed, then what will happen in the F2 generation? So in the F2 generation, what will happen is that again we will draw a Punnett square, and we will see that this time, since see the that is your alleles are different, so they will be producing two different types of gametes in both the cases. Okay, two different types of gametes. This is for your male and this one is for your female. Now when we just cross them, or when the zygote will be formed as a result of pollination between these two parents, then what are the possible combinations? We can see this. So here you see, in this case we will find that this one will be expressed as tall, because both the allele of gene are homozygous. In this it is heterozygous, but since it is dominant over this small t, so it will be expressing itself. Same is with this, but in this case it is homozygous recessive, so it will be dwarf. So in this case, if we see the tallness with respect to dwarfness, the ratio comes 3:1. Okay, the ratio comes 3:1. That means 75% tall and 1 is 25% dwarf. So by seeing this, Mendel postulated his law of dominance, that if the two pure characters are crossed, then in the that is the first generation, we find all the individuals to have one single character. And in the F2 generation, we find that reappearance of the second character, which was hidden in the first generation, again reappeared here, but the proportion was less compared to that of the tallness. Now Mendel wanted to know that all these individuals which he has brought, because he was a mathematician, so all the individuals which he has got in his results, are they pure with respect to the alleles or not? He wanted to know this, because this was the phenotypic expression, because this was the phenotypic ratio, isn't it? So he wanted to know about the genotype. So genotype, he wanted to know that what is exactly the combination of the alleles in case of this type of organisms. So what he did is that to know that whether the organism which he has obtained is having the alleles which are homozygous or heterozygous, what he did is that he crossed these individuals with a homozygous recessive parent. Okay, so homozygous recessive parent, suppose if the individual which he was testing was your homozygous dominant, that means the alleles were homozygous. So in that case, the homozygous alleles for tallness would be capital T, isn't it? And when he has crossed it to know whether the alleles are homozygous or not with that of the recessive parent, so it will be small t. Okay, so the gametes again will be 50% half. So gamete will be only of one type here, that is small t, and here also one type, that is your capital T. And when they will be, that is your pollination will be done between them, they will be forming the individuals which will be having all the individuals of tall character. They will be all tall in nature. But what will happen if the individual which he is testing is heterozygous with respect to the two alleles? Okay, so let us take that. Suppose if he had taken the individuals which was heterozygous, so capital T and small t, for again because it is the physical expression of this organism also will be tall, and the physical expression of this organism also will be tall. So when he crossed this with a homozygous recessive parent, now in this case you see the gametes will be again 50%, gametes will be 50%. This will be producing only one type of gamete, that is small t. But this type of individual will be producing two different types of gametes, isn't it? One will be your capital T and another one will be your small t. Now when this will undergo the process of pollination, that means this one with this individual, it will result into formation of the individual which will be tall, isn't it? Again, since it can be producing the same type of gametes, so this one again when will be fusing to form a zygote, it will be also forming capital T small t, isn't it? Now this one when it will be fusing with this, it will be forming small t, and this one when it will be fertilizing or pollinating with this, it will be producing small t and small t. Now see here, in this case what is the result? The result is 1:1, isn't it? Why the result is 1:1? Here 50% of the population will show tallness character and the 50% of the population will show dwarfness character. But in this case, if the individual which he is testing for the homozygosity of the alleles results into appearance of a single character, that is the dominant character, in that case he calculated and he understood that the alleles could be only in homozygous condition, then only there is a possibility that only a single type of gamete will be formed, because here only T gamete can be formed, capital T, no other variations are there, and this, since it was a pure recessive homozygous parent, so definitely it is only going to produce small t, isn't it? But in this case which he has taken, in this case if the individual was heterozygous, in this case the heterozygous individual has two alleles, two versions of the same gene, so it can form two different types of gametes, but this one, the homozygous parent, will be producing only a single type of gamete, same type of gamete, and as a result of it, when the fusion will take place between the gamete resulting in the formation of zygote, it was noticed that every time he did so to find out the alleles of a heterozygote and that of a homozygote organism, 50% of the individuals show the dominant character and 50% showed the recessive, whereas if it was pure homozygous dominant character, then all the individuals showed the same dominant character. So this was the test cross, this was called as your test cross, okay, this was called as your test cross, which Mendel has given after his observation for all the 7 pairs of contrasting characters in case of inheritance of one gene. In your syllabus it is written as inheritance of one gene. Inheritance of one gene means monohybrid cross. Mono means single. When a single character is taken into consideration and then the experiment is performed, see, Mendel always did not go for complicated experiments. He always had taken one character at a time or sometimes two characters at a time, but not more than that. Why he did not take that is, we are not going for that, but he took always one character at a time and maximum he took two characters at a time. So when he took one character at a time, that type of cross is called monohybrid cross or the inheritance of one gene. And after inheritance of one gene, we had come to know about the two laws of Mendel, that was your law of dominance and the law of segregation. And after that, that is alleles are segregating, fine, everything is okay, but to know after the segregation, when they are uniting together, whether the individual is heterozygous for the allele or the individual is homozygous for the allele, Mendel has proposed this test cross, okay, he has proposed this test cross, fine, okay. Now next, another thing which Mendel has given, that also we should be knowing, that is called as your back cross. Okay, so let us see the back cross, what he did. In case of back cross, okay, in case of your back cross, what was different from that of your test cross that we should be knowing about it is that back cross is done to improve the variety of an organism. It can be plant, it can be animal. It is generally done, that is the whatever the organism we are obtaining as a result of your crossing, if we want to again put back some useful characters in them by crossing it again with a wild variety. Now in this case, we are not restricting our choice of selecting the second parent to have the homozygous recessive character. We can take an organism, in this case the second parent, to be homozygous dominant or homozygous recessive. In case of test cross, what we did, in case of test cross, to know whether the individual is heterozygous or homozygous, we have crossed it with a homozygous recessive parent. But in case of back cross, suppose you have an individual which is heterozygous, okay, say again tallness and dwarfness. So say for example your capital T and small t. So it is heterozygous individual. So we don't know, but we have taken it, and if we want to cross it with that of the homozygous individual, homozygous recessive parent, in this case we had come to know that here it will be the formation of that is two types of gametes. Here it will be the formation of only same type of, that is small t type of gamete, and we had come to know that the individuals which will be formed, that means the dominant character will appear as well as the recessive capital will appear in 50%, 50%, means the total individual which will be obtained, that will have 50% showing the dominant character and 50% showing the recessive character. That was a result of your test cross, that is when the individual is heterozygous. But if the individual was homozygous, we had come to know that all the individuals in the F1 generation will be showing the dominant character, and that is how it could be proved that the organism which we are using as our experimental material is homozygous or heterozygous. But to improve the variety, backcross is not meant for knowing the allelic nature of the individual. It is just to improve the variety of an individual, whether it is a crop plant or that of the domestic animal. So suppose this individual is having allele for a particular character, say tallness, as heterozygous. So if we are crossing it with homozygous recessive parent, that is also a backcross, and if we are crossing it with a homozygous dominant parent, okay, homozygous dominant will be capital T, capital T, so that will be also considered as a backcross. So when a cross is made with an individual with respect to homozygous parents, either homozygous recessive parent or homozygous dominant parent, to improve the variety of that individual, the variety of the crop plant or the variety of the domestic animal, then we call that type of cross to be your back cross. So see, test cross is a back cross, but every back cross is not a test cross. How is it so? When you are crossing between the individual with that of homozygous recessive individual, in that case it is a test cross, isn't it? And when you are crossing this heterozygous individual with that of the homozygous dominant parent, it is not a test cross, isn't it? But in case of test cross, we are crossing it with this. So back cross involves this also, back cross involves this also. So back cross and test cross, what is the difference? Every test cross is a back cross, but every back cross is not a test cross, isn't it? Because back cross can be with this individual also, isn't it? So when the back cross is done with this individual, we cannot call it test cross. But when the back cross is done with respect to this individual, it is a kind of test cross. So test cross is a back cross, but back cross, every back cross is not a test cross. Got it? So this is about your back cross, why the back cross is done, why the test cross is done, why Mendel did it, and it is with respect to the inheritance of one gene. Okay, inheritance of one gene, that means the monohybrid cross. Okay, fine. Next, we will move on to a very important aspect of our chapter, which is called as your incomplete dominance and codominance. Okay, now next we are going to read about two more important things which is discussed in your syllabus, and one is called as your incomplete dominance. Okay, now let us first understand this incomplete dominance. Now what is this incomplete dominance? When Mendel performed his experiment on his experimental material, that is pea plant, his result was successful and he published it in his journal, fine. But when the other people, the other geneticists try to work upon to confirm whether this law of dominance or law of segregation which he has given is true with respect to all other organisms or all other plant materials or individuals, they found some dissimilarity with respect to what Mendel has postulated. Now what was this dissimilarity? A experimental material which was your snapdragon Arentinium species, this plant, when it was crossed, two pure parents were crossed. One was having the red color flower and another one was having a white color flower. When they were crossed together, it was noticed that unlike what Mendel has given in his law of dominance, that one will be always coming in the F1 generation, one will appear in the F1 generation and the other character will remain hidden and the hidden character will appear in the F2 generation, the results were somewhat different. Now what was the result? The result was the two individuals which were taken, that is a flower color, that is red is represented by say capital R, this was pure homozygous dominant, and it was crossed with your recessive parent, homozygous recessive parent, that is white. Now this one was your red and this one was your white. Okay, these two flowers or these two plants, snapdragon plants with bearing these two different kinds of flowers, were crossed. And when crossing was done, you know, again gamete formation will take place. So gamete formation take place, it will be resulting into formation of only one single type of gamete, that is red, and this will be forming one single type of gamete, that is your white. And when these two gametes, they will fuse or they will fertilize, pollination will take place, they will result into formation of an individual which will be having the genotype capital R and small r. So according to Mendel's law of dominance, it should be red, isn't it? It should be red. But to their surprise, they noticed that the individuals were not at all red. They were not red. Then what were they? They were pink. Okay, they were pink. The plants which were formed in the F1 generation, they resulted into formation of flowers. Those flowers were pink in color. Now this strike a question in their mind, that how is it possible? Mendel has given his law of dominance, according to which if we cross between the homozygous parent, homozygous dominant and homozygous recessive, the character should be always one of the either of the parents. That means it should be accordingly, it should come red. But why did it come pink? Then they again grew this plant. Okay, that is, they self-pollinated this pink color variety plants, and they noticed in the F2 generation, they noticed that when this was, you know, crossed with that of your the same individual. Okay, so it was crossed with the same individual, capital R and small r. Now if we do the Punnett square, okay, the checkerboard, if we draw it, so the checkerboard, if we draw it, then this one is a male, this one is a female. So gametes will be of two types. Okay, one will be capital R, another one will be small r. In this case it will be capital R, it will be small r, isn't it? So now it will result into what type of individuals? Let us see that. Capital R, capital R, capital R, small r, capital R, small r, and small r, small. Now in this case, what was the phenotypic expression? Phenotypic expression for this was completely red. The plants had red color flower. These two had pink color flower, and this one was white color flower. So the ratio in the F2 generation, the phenotypic ratio, instead of the genotypic ratio of the monohybrid cross, which was, you know, one was pure tall, two were heterozygotes for tallless character, and the third one was your dwarf, completely dwarf. But phenotypically they were 75% population tall and 25% only dwarf. But in this case 25% were showing red color flower, 25% were showing white color flower, and 50% were showing that of your the pink color flower. So the phenotypic expression only was 1:2:1. Okay, instead of the genotypic ratio, which should be 3:1 for a monohybrid cross. For the inheritance of a single character, it appeared 1:2:1. Now this put a question, this created a pressure on the mind of these geneticists, that what went wrong actually. So after studying the ratio, that was the phenotypic ratio of this type of cross with the snapdragon, the geneticists all across, they came to a common point of decision or confirmation, and the decision was that, see, every that is your character is represented by two versions of the alleles. That means it will have two alleles. If it is homozygous, the alleles will be same. If it is heterozygous, the alleles are different. So what they came to the common conclusion is that that is the gene will be in a chromosome, the genes are in pair. So the gene will be expressing some enzyme, and that expression of that enzyme will result into appearance of that character. So if the expression of the enzyme in case of in case of a pair of allele, which is your heterozygous, is one of them is producing an enzyme which is non-functional, or if it is it is not at all producing any enzyme. So in that case, what will happen is that the expression will be for because of the, that is your allele, or because of the gene which will be expressing itself. Suppose if this is a chromosome, the chromosome is in pair. So if the gene which is suppose present here, okay, say for example A and A dash, so this is in pair. So if this is functional gene, it is producing an enzyme, but this one is not producing a enzyme, a functional enzyme, or no enzyme is produced. In that case, what will happen? Expression will be because of this gene, expression will not be because of this, because it is not producing any enzyme. So this is perhaps the reason because of which the appearance of this blending of character came in case of your Snapdragon. So had it been that both of them are able to express, both the genes are able to express in the chromosome, they are able to produce a functional enzyme, then the result will be, of course, either that is your dominant one or that of the recessive one. But in case of the blending character, in case of this heterozygous condition in which one is not able to produce the dominant feature over the other, in that what happens is that because one produces the enzyme which will be produced, because enzymes, what does the enzyme do? It acts upon the substrate to produce a product, isn't it? So suppose this enzyme is able, this gene is capable of producing an enzyme which is capable of converting the substrate into product, but this one is not producing a functional enzyme. It is producing an enzyme, but it is not a functional enzyme. That means it is not able to convert the substrate into the desirable product. In that case, what will happen? This will not be expressed, only this one will be expressed, isn't it? So there are three conditions which are expressed in your book. Now what are these three conditions? Is that either both of them are going to produce the normal enzyme. This could be one of the that is the expression of the gene. Another one is that a non-functional enzyme is produced. That means one is producing a functional enzyme, another one is producing a non-functional enzyme, and the third case is that one is producing the enzyme but the other one is not at all producing an enzyme. So the last two characters, that is non-functional enzyme and no enzyme at all, will result into formation of these two characters. That means it is only able to, if it is producing a non-functional enzyme, it is producing an enzyme but it is non-functional, so maybe it will have some effect on the substrate, and as a result of it some things can be expressed but not in that quantity or that is intensity. So because of which the pink color appeared. So the red color could not appear because of the heterozygosity, because of a non-functional enzyme, or because of no enzyme that one could not have its proper effect. So this was the case of your incomplete dominance shown by the Snapdragon, which actually put a question mark in the law of dominance given by that of the Mendel. So Mendel's law of dominance could not prove to be universal with respect to the different organisms. The next thing which is discussed in your syllabus, one more topic, that is called as your codominance, incomplete dominance and codominance. Now what is this codominance? This is also somewhat questioning Mendel's law of dominance. Now let us see what is codominance. Okay. Codominance, what does it mean is that in case of cross between some individuals having character, both the characters appear in the that is in the individual. There is no single dominance of one character over the other. Like in case of incomplete dominance, it was a blending of two characters, that means red and white, it was mixed to form that of the pink. Incomplete dominance, that was because of a non-functional enzyme or because of no enzyme at all, isn't it? But in case of codominance, both the alleles are able to express itself in the individual. The best example in this regard is that of your human blood group. Okay, human blood group, it has an allele which is in 3 forms, available in 3 forms. How is it represented? It is represented by your IA. Okay, what is this I stands for? It stands for immunoglobulin. So in our RBC, on the surface of RBC are present certain proteins. So it is of 2 types. One is your A form, okay, another one is your B form, and another one is having no that is either A is also not present, B is also not present. So there are 3 different forms of alleles found with respect to blood group in case of human beings. So what happens is that this 2, that is IA and IB, both of them can equally express itself in an individual. That means if an individual is having a blood group IA, IB, so in that case the blood group of that person will be your AB. Okay, if the person is having a blood group IA and I, that is this one, in that case IA is dominant. It does not have any protein on the surface of its RBC, so it will express itself. So as a result, the blood group of that person will be A. If the person is having the combination of alleles as your IA, in that case again the blood group of that person will be A. If a person is having a blood group combination of IBI, in that case the blood group will be B. If a person is having blood group combination IBIB, in that case the person's blood group will be B. And if the person is having the blood group as I, in that case the person's blood group is O. Okay, so here you see the alleles are different, but both the alleles are expressed, and since both of them are equally expressed, both of them are in joint form, so we call this to be the codominance. Means both are dominant, they are living in peaceful relationship. So that is a codominance thing which is found in case of human blood group. In this case, one is recessive form. It does not have any antigen or the protein on the surface of the RBC. So the one which is present, it will express. So it is your blood group A. This is homozygous. So it is also blood group A. It is heterozygous, so it is expressed because here there is no that is your antigen or the protein to be expressed, so it is blood group B. It is homozygous, blood group B, and homozygous recessive, blood group O. So this is an example of codominance, which again is not in favor of the law of dominance given by that of the Mendel. So law of dominance could not prove itself with respect to many things, with respect to a color in case of the snapdragon, then your blood group in case of human beings. So codominance and your incomplete dominance, which were later found by the different other scientists, proved the law of dominance not to be universal with respect to all the organisms. Similarly, in case of organisms like that of your that is pea, okay, the pea seed. The pea seed, in case of pea seed, the shape of the seed and the starch content of the seed is controlled by a that is your single gene. Okay, so let us see that also. And also before we move on to that section, human blood group is also an example of multiple alleles, multiple allelism. Multiple allelism means what? We know that the gene has 2 alternative forms, that is in case of tallness and dwarfness, T and small t, isn't it? But in case of blood group of human beings, we found that the allele can be in 3 different forms. Of course, alleles should be always in pairs, so but it has 3 different forms. What are the forms? A, B and small I. That means small I represents what? Having no antigen or no protein on the surface of the that is your RBC. So since it is having more than 2 forms, the allele is having more than 2 forms, so this is an example of multiple allelism. So example of multiple allelism, you can give the example of human blood group. Also codominance example in exam, you can give the example of human blood group. Occasionally, one single gene product may have more than one effect. This example has been also discussed in your book. Now what is this example is about the pair of alleles which are responsible for the shape of the seed and which is also responsible for the starch content present in the seed. Now in case of pea seed, that is the shape of the seed, say for example the shape of the seed is controlled by a pair of allele which is represented by say capital B, capital B. Now capital B represents the dominant character. That means the shape of the seed in this case will be your round seed. Okay, it will be your round seeds. So round seeds will be because of the two homozygous dominant alleles. Now when it is crossed with a pea variety which is having the recessive homozygous recessive allele in them, and as a result of it the shape of the seed here will be wrinkled. Okay, so the shape of the seeds here will be wrinkled. So round seeds and wrinkled seeds is controlled by that of this pair of allele, that is capital B and small b. Now when the gametes will be produced, of course this is going to produce only a single type of gamete, that is your capital B, and this is also going to produce a gamete which is small b. So when they will be fusing together, they will be pollinating, they will be producing a zygote which will be having a genetic combination of capital B, small b. Now this one, according to the Mendel's law of dominance, is showing the character of your round seed. Okay, so all the seeds of this pea plant will be round, but what is the nature of the that is the starch content present within this seed is of intermediate between that of your round and wrinkled. In case of round seeds, the starch content was maximum. In case of wrinkled seeds, the starch content was minimum. So according to the law of dominance, if now according to this the shape is coming the dominant form, that is the round seeds, so accordingly the starch content also should be coming according to this that is the allele which is coming, it should be a large area of the seed should have the starch content in it, but it is not coming like that. What it is coming is that neither it is coming the large content of the seed containing the starch in it or small amount of starch present in the seeds or of the seed, it is coming that of the intermediate, neither maximum content of starch nor minimum content of starch, a blending of these two, that is having the starch content which is intermediate of these two. So neither this nor that. But shape, if you consider shape, this one is expressed. A single gene product is having more than one effect. What is the one effect? It is the effect is that it is producing the shape of the color, that is shape of the seed, that is your normal seed, but the content of the starch is that of the intermediate between them, both of them. So it is controlling two characters at a time. So this is all about the controversies regarding the law of dominance proposed by that of the Mendel. Today we had studied about that is your the various that is your anomalies with respect to the Mendel's law of dominance, that is inheritance of that is one gene, and interaction. In the next chapters, in the next part of the chapter to follow, we are going to read about the dihybrid cross, in which Mendel has performed his experiments taking two characters at a time. So in that we will be seeing that what are the various kinds of conclusions he has drawn and what are the laws or the principles of inheritance which he has postulated in the next class to follow.